Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and I stopped applying for credit cards. Yes. And by the way, guys, I love using credit cards, okay? I use them for a lot of things. Sometimes to even start a business, sometimes to travel for free, or sometimes just to get free money. However, the entire credit card game right now is changing. The pandemic has changed everything. Some people are getting rejected like crazy, even though usually they will get accepted. And on top of that, some people are actually getting their credit limit reduced. And even more crazy, some people are being asked to provide proof of income whenever they actually apply for a credit card. So this video right here, I'm going to break down, is right now a good time to apply for a credit card, or should you wait? Because every time you apply, and if you get denied, that is actually going to ding your credit score, which will actually hurt your credit score in the end. So in this video, I'm going to break down all the details. And by the way, guys, I post videos on this channel every single day, so make sure to also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, the first thing I want to explain here before I tell you all the red flags that are going on right now when it comes to credit cards, the first thing is this, okay? Math is still math. And here's what I mean. If you have a credit card balance right now that is pretty high and you can't afford to make your payments, it's okay to call in and ask for forbearance, or basically for them to stop your payments for a minute, okay? That is fine. However, if you do have a credit card and you still have a job, which is very rare these days, make sure to pay off your credit card in full every single month. Some people are trying to use everything that's going on right now to avoid paying their credit card balances while still using the credit cards, but in reality, that is going to hurt you in the end. So be very careful, and I'm going to break that down later on in the video. And now, guys, let's talk about all the red flags that are happening right now if you plan on actually applying for a credit card. Now, the first thing is this, guys. As we all know, the pandemic put around 36 million Americans on unemployment, maybe even more by the time you're actually watching this video. And if you guys didn't know, around 191 million Americans have a credit card, some type of credit card. And that's more than 58% of the entire population. More than half of the American population has a credit card. But the most crazy thing is this, guys, okay? Since so many people are being affected, and it's very easy to just call in and say like, hey, I need credit card forbearance, or I need you guys to stop my payments, even though if you don't need it, because I called in to test on a video on this channel, and basically they said, hey, Tommy, no problem, don't worry about it, no payment required whatsoever. So all of these things are going to hurt credit cards in some way for the short term at least, but it will hurt consumers even more if they do have a high credit balance. Now, here's the way that credit cards are actually responding whenever it comes to all of these issues: unemployment, forbearance, I can't make my payments, oh my gosh, what's happening? Well, here is what credit cards are actually doing about this. The first thing is this, guys, okay? If you have a credit card, most likely when you go on their credit card webpage, you'll see, for example, Discover, they say like, hey, if you've been affected by the entire illness going on, it's okay. You're not required to make any payments whatsoever. And that's actually a good thing, because basically, if you have been affected, you should get a break, because basically right now you can't make any payments, and most importantly, you should be worried about getting food on the table than just paying off this credit card, okay? So that's actually pretty good if you ask me. And by the way, they're not charging you any interest also, at least with Discover, if you have been affected. But some credit cards out there are actually saying like, hey, no payment required, but in reality, we're still going to charge you. So be very careful and make sure to verify exactly what your credit card company is actually doing with you. But the point is this, guys, although this is helpful by credit cards giving people the chance to actually catch a break, some people are actually using this time right now to basically not pay their credit card bills, although they can actually afford to pay their credit card bills. And the idea is this, okay? Well, I'm not going to make my credit card bills because I don't have to technically, and I'm just going to use the extra money and go out there and buy some Starbucks, or basically some avocado toast, like all those people in LA. I don't know what the deal is with like avocado toast in LA, okay? But the point is this: you might think it's actually a pretty good thing if you are doing it, but the idea is this: once everything goes back to normal, the interest rate will still be the same on your card. So it will still cost you a ton of money every single year on interest if you're still carrying that balance. And on top of that, if you're not making any payments, but you're still actually maxing out the card every single month and thinking like, hey, I don't have to make a payment, in reality, guess what? When everything is said and done, and things go back to normal, that balance will be due. And say for example, you actually lose your job between then and now, in reality, you might actually be stuck with a payment you can't afford to pay, which will then in return actually hurt your credit score. And by the way, by utilizing a ton of your credit, usually it will hurt your credit score a ton. And that is called credit card utilization, which is one of the most important things when it actually comes to calculating your entire credit score. So the point is, you want to be very, very careful. If you can't afford to pay it, it's fine. But if you can't afford to pay it, make sure to use this time right now to try to pay off all those balances very quickly before everything goes back to normal. And now guys, the second thing credit cards are actually doing right now is a change in the entire application, okay? Now, when I was 19 years old, I applied for my first credit card. And I said I was actually making between $2,000 to $3,000 every single month. But then again, I was in college, only making around $1,000 a month. So basically, I lied. I admit it, but if it is a federal crime, I'm just kidding. It's just a story, okay? I'm just kidding. It's just a story. But the point is, I actually got approved for a credit card that gave me around $3,000 because basically no one bothered to ask the college student that's around 18 to 19 years old, like, hey, can I have proof of income? No one asked me. So basically, I got away with it. But again, if it is a crime, I'm just kidding, and it is a story. But the point is that right now, currently, credit cards are changing this right now, and some people will have to basically verify their income if they are listing, for example, a very fishy income on their credit card application. And on top of that, some people are currently even being asked for a tax return. So I highly recommend you do not lie when applying for a credit card, because if they ask you basically like, hey, can I see proof of income? Well, guess what? How are you going to prove you actually make the money? The best thing to do is basically just be honest, and you'll probably get a lower credit line, but you might still be approved if you're not basically having some crazy bad credit score behind the scenes, okay? And by the way, guys, the pro of credit cards actually doing this is actually pretty good, right? It means that credit cards now verify your income, meaning they can actually give you a credit line based on your real income. But the con is that basically now they'll probably have a lower pool of people actually applying that can actually basically qualify. But I think credit cards are very creative. So in the end, they'll probably say like, hey, we'll accept you. But in the end, we're probably just going to give you a lower credit line. And that way you deal with that, you prove yourself, and then we'll probably increase it later on. Because again, the whole point of credit cards, to be honest, is that, hey, they want you to get in debt to then charge you interest. And that's how the entire business operates. But that's not all that credit cards are actually doing currently. They're actually lowering people's credit line, which basically means if you are an existing customer or basically applying for the first time, you might be actually getting a lower credit line than you would actually get if it wasn't for the entire pandemic right now. And the idea is that some people are going from $5,000 to $3,000 even though they are an existing customer. And this basically proves, guys, okay, whenever a credit card company gives you, for example, $1,000 or a very high credit line, even though you know like, hey, how can I get this much money? The answer is sometimes all the credit card companies actually want to do is get you into debt, and that way you're stuck paying that 16 to 35% in interest for a very, very long time, and they make the bulk of their money. So this is proof that basically credit cards give you more money than sometimes you would actually qualify for. And now, because it might be risky for them, they're actually using the right method. So always, always, always never spend more money than you can afford to pay off in that full month right then and there. Be very careful spending way too much money according to what your credit card company actually gave you. And by the way, if they're lowering your credit card limit right now, you can always call in and ask what happened and ask for it to be increased based on, hey, I have a very high income, I have very low debt, but make sure before you call in, your credit score is looking pretty good, because they might say like, hey, no, sorry. And overall, guys, if you guys ask me, Tommy, is this going to be the new norm? I think maybe it might be, but I also think it's actually going to be temporary because of everything that's actually going on right now, and because credit card companies stand to actually profit so much by doing things the old way that we're actually doing it, okay? Basically, qualifying people that don't qualify and giving them a ton of money to then get them into debt. But the idea is that if this is the new norm, I think credit card companies will get very, very creative by basically, hey, you qualify, but we're gonna give you a low limit, and once you prove yourself, then we'll actually increase it, and then boom, 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 you're also in debt. Because again, that is the entire business plan of a credit card, and that's how they make the bulk of their money. But again, if you're just paying off your credit card every single month in full, then guess what? You're actually cheating them, and that way all you get is all the points, all the free money, and that's the right way to do it. So guys, when it comes to the question, Tommy, should I be applying for credit cards right now, or should I actually be waiting? So to answer this question, number 2 is this, guys, okay? It all depends on why you actually want the credit card. What is the reason you actually want it, okay? So for example, if all you want a credit card for is to build your credit score, in reality, I recommend highly you apply for something called a secured credit card. Now, there are 3 I recommend, and the answer is by applying for a secured credit card, you put a small deposit, and that way you're almost guaranteed an approval, and that way you can start building your entire credit score without having to worry about actually getting rejected the first time you actually apply. And that's what I did for my mom when she first applied. And guess what? Right now, her credit score is 690, or maybe like even a 700. I haven't checked in a while though. But the point is, she has been basically growing and increasing her credit score step by step by using a secure credit card. Now, I recommend 3 here. The first one is the Capital One secure credit card. By far the easiest one to actually get. So apply for this one first if you just want to build your credit score. And then you also have Discover Secure Credit Card, which is also a bit harder. So again, I recommend you apply for this one once you have some form of history actually established. And the last one is actually the Open Sky Secure Credit Card, which guarantees you an approval. But again, it's only for people that really have a bad credit score that actually want to build it back up and actually get things back to normal. But again, Capital One and Discover are probably my top picks. But for example, if the reason you actually want a credit card is just for the points or just to have a brand new credit card, the answer is you want to make sure that A, do not lie about your income, because if they request your information and you can't prove it, you'll get in trouble. Number 2 is make sure your credit score is in very, very good standing. If you have a high credit utilization, that is going to hurt you a ton, especially right now. Meaning that if you're borrowing a ton of money on all of your credit cards and you want to apply for another credit card, the odds of you getting rejected are actually very, very high. And by the way, guys, if you applied for a credit card already before watching this video and you got rejected, and you actually want to get accepted, I actually have a video linked down below on how to actually go through the process and actually call them and actually get them to accept your application even though they rejected you in the past, okay? So watch that video, link down below. And now guys, lastly, number 3, Tommy, what do you think about everything that's going on? To be honest guys, I think that these are all just minor adjustments and the rules are still the same. If you have a credit card, pay it off in full every single month. And if you can't afford to do that, get on forbearance and then basically take this time to basically use all of your money to try to get out of credit card as fast as possible, and that way you are in the clear. Credit card debt is very dangerous because the interest is so high on it. But overall, I am not applying for any credit cards currently, not because of like, hey, oh my gosh, the pandemic, but because I'm also applying for a mortgage. And on top of that, I already built up my credit score and I don't really need another credit card. I'm not really into like, hey, I need this credit card or this credit card. I'm not really out here collecting credit cards, but some people do for credit card churning. But to manage all those credit cards is very difficult, so be very careful on how you actually do that. But overall, if you want to apply to build credit, apply to secure credit cards. If you want to apply just to get a new credit card, just make sure your credit score currently is in very, very good standing. But guys, that's about it for this video. Comment down below and let me know, are you still going to be applying for credit cards? And do you think this is going to be the new norm? Comment down below, let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed the video here, well, like this video. On top of that, also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Follow my second channel called the Tommy Bryson Show. It's hilarious. Link down below. You're going to love it. And also follow me on Instagram, Tommy Bryson. And before I go, if you want to watch another video, okay, on how to get approved for a credit card, even after you got rejected, watch this video right here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace.